Commander Zixthor of the Valerian Imperium stood in the observation deck of the Celestial Pride, his crystalline eyes scanning the blue marble, below with undisguised contempt. Earth, a backwater planet, inhabited by primitives who had barely scratched the surface of interstellar travel. 9.8 meters per second squared, he said, his mandibles clicking with amusement. How do these humans even function under such oppressive conditions? His entourage of junior officers chirped their agreement. The Valerians had evolved on a moon with gravity barely a third of Earth's, their bodies elegant and tall, their movements graceful in the controlled environments of their ships. "Sir," his aide ventured, "the diplomatic protocols suggest we show respect to the native." "Respect?" Zixthor's laugh was like shattered glass. "They should be grateful we're even considering them for the Galactic Council. Their entire civilization is held prisoner by their own planet's crushing gravity. It's pathetic." The shuttle ride down was smooth, cushioned by Valerian technology that made even the most turbulent atmospheric entry feel like floating on air. Zixthor had insisted on minimal gravity compensation for the landing zone. He wanted the humans to see how easily his kind adapted, how superior they were. The welcoming committee stood on the tarmac of Edwards Space Force Base. At their head was Captain Sarah Chen, a compact woman in a crisp Air Force uniform, her dark hair pulled back in a regulation bun. She couldn't have been more than 5.5 feet tall, a dwarf by Valerian standards. "Commander Zixthor," she said, her voice steady as she offered her hand. "Welcome to Earth." Zixthor stepped from the shuttle and gravity hit him like a hammer. His knees buckled slightly before he caught himself, activating the subtle gravity compensator woven into his ornate uniform. He ignored her outstretched hand. "Captain Chen, was it?" He towered over her, his 7-foot frame swaying slightly despite the compensator. "I trust you've prepared adequate accommodations. We require low-gravity environments." "We've prepared several options," Sarah replied, her hand dropping to her side. "Though I should mention that full gravity compensation isn't available in all areas of the facility." "Unacceptable," Zixthor snapped. "Do you expect beings of our caliber to lumber about like you groundlings? We are not built for such primitive conditions." Sarah's expression didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes. "Of course, Commander. Perhaps we could discuss this over a tour of our facilities. I think you'll find Earth has more to offer than you might expect." The tour began in the climate-controlled, low-gravity diplomatic wing. Zixthor moved with exaggerated ease, making sure the human observers noted his grace. He made comments about human limitations and how evolution had been kinder to other species. "Tell me, Captain," he said as they walked, "how do your military forces even train under such conditions? It must be exhausting just to stand." "We manage," Sarah said simply. "I'm sure you do," Zixthor replied with mock sympathy. "Valerian combat training takes place in 3 times our native gravity. It's quite rigorous. I doubt any human could—" "Would you care to see our training facilities?" Sarah interrupted, her tone mild. Zixthor's mandibles clicked. "I suppose it might be educational." The gymnasium was standard gravity, 1 full Earth G. The moment Zixthor passed through the doorway, he felt the change. His compensator hummed loudly, struggling to adjust. He stumbled, catching himself against the wall. "My apologies," Sarah said. "The gravity compensator fields don't extend to this section. Safety regulations. Would you prefer to return to—" "Nonsense." Zixthor straightened, pride overriding discomfort. "Lead on." The gym was occupied by off-duty personnel running through exercises. They moved with fluid efficiency, pull-ups, sprints, combat drills. What caught Zixthor's attention was the weights they were lifting. Surely those numbers were wrong. 200 pounds? He said, mandibles twitching. "That cannot be correct." "That's Sergeant Morrison," Sarah said. "He's working light today. Recovery day." Zixthor watched as the human, barely 6 feet tall, completed another set with ease. The Valerian commander felt sweat forming on his carapace, his legs trembling from just standing in full gravity. "Perhaps," Sarah continued, "you'd like a demonstration of human capabilities? A friendly sparring match?" Zixthor's pride screamed yes, but his body screamed no. "I hardly think—" "No weapons," Sarah said, already walking to the mat. "Just grappling. First to yield. Your compensator can stay active." The other humans in the gym had stopped to watch. Zixthor felt their eyes on him, To refuse now would be to show weakness before these primitives. Very well, he said, moving carefully to the mat. Though I warn you, Valerian combat techniques are quite advanced. They squared off. Zixthor extended to his full height, his compensator working overtime. Sarah stood relaxed, her center of gravity low. Ready? She asked. Zixthor lunged, reaching for what should have been an easy grab. Sarah moved like water, sidestepping and redirecting his momentum. His compensator couldn't adjust fast enough. He stumbled forward off balance. Before he could recover, Sarah was behind him, one hand on his shoulder, one leg hooking his. A gentle push, gentle by human standards, and Zixthor felt himself falling. The mat rushed up to meet him, and he landed hard on his face. The impact drove the air from his lungs. The compensator whined and died, overloaded. Full Earth gravity pressed down on him like a giant's hand. He tried to push himself up, but his arms shook uselessly. His face pressed against the mat, tasting dust and defeat. "Do you yield, Commander?" Sarah's voice was professional, not mocking. Zixthor couldn't even nod properly. "I yield," he gasped. Sarah helped him to his feet, and he needed the help. Without the compensator, he could barely stand. She guided him to a bench, reactivated his emergency compensator. "Every human child," she said quietly, "grows up in this gravity. We carry it with us every second of every day. It makes us strong. It makes us stubborn. It makes us survivors." Zixthor looked at her with new eyes. Around them, human personnel had returned to their exercises, unimpressed by what they'd just witnessed. To them, it was just another day at 1G. Zixthor began, then stopped. "I apologize, Captain Chen. I have been foolish." Sarah smiled for the first time. "We all make mistakes, Commander. The question is whether we learn from them." As Zixthor limped back toward the diplomatic wing, he found himself reassessing everything he'd thought about humanity. Perhaps being forged under such crushing gravity didn't make them prisoners of their world. Perhaps it made them ready for anything the universe could throw at them.